This boy was an internet sensation at birth, with nearly 5 billion people into 20 countries around the world watching him at all times. Even his first kiss was broadcast live worldwide. His house is full of cameras, 24 hours a day, 360 degrees without a dead angle. Even his parents, wives and passers-by around him are all actors. In this huge studio, the rising sun and moon are all props. And Truman has lived here for 30 years without knowing anything about it. Today is the 909th day of broadcasting, and Truman leaves for work as usual, but then the sky suddenly crashes down with a shining light, which is actually caused by a TV station error. In order to put Truman's mind at ease, he goes on the city radio and falsely claims that it was a part of an airplane that fell off. Then Truman walks down the street, and the passers-by greet him eerily and press him against a billboard behind him. This is actually a commercial planted by the TV station. And to make sure that Truman never leaves town in his life, his co-workers tell him every day that the city he now lives in has the highest happiness index in the world. That's when his superiors send a mission for Truman to go out to sea and take a boat to an exotic place for business. But looking at the vast ocean, Truman was instantly abashed, because the TV station, in order to make him afraid to go out of town, in his childhood arranged a scene, specially let Truman watch his father drown in the sea. And this has become his childhood shadow. Even though he has grown up for many years, he can't help but be afraid of seeing the sea. Truman sits on the beach in melancholy, thinking back to his childhood. Suddenly it started raining heavily, but what was confusing was that it was only raining in his area, and it followed him wherever he went. It took a little while for the TV station to fix the malfunction, and this actually deepened Truman's suspicions. Because in his youth he had a close girlfriend, but that night on the beach, she told him that everything in the world was a lie, and that everyone around him was an actor. Immediately after the TV station came to arrest, the girlfriend kept struggling and said that if Truman escaped, he must come to find himself. Truman never sees his girlfriend again. Now he wants to go out of town to find her, but his wife refuses to let him go out because of the mortgage. But this doesn't dissuade Truman from doing so. One day, however, a homeless man on the street catches his attention. Running into his father, who had been dead for more than 20 years, on the street was a surprising experience. Truman just wanted to go up and acknowledge him, but the next second the passers-by took his father away. As Truman gave chase, a group of jocks appeared and blocked his path. Then the passers-by run him over and the car stops him, only to watch as his father is taken away. Truman is taken aback by all this. The next day at work, a sudden radio blunder reveals Truman's route and the arrangement of each passerby actor. A piercing low-frequency sound ensues, and all the actors on the street stop and cover their ears, then immediately return to normal. Truman's mind was filled with all sorts of thoughts as he walked into the office and then immediately left, wondering what would happen if he didn't go to work on his usual route. He rushed into the company at a fast pace and pressed the elevator button to find that it was actually the actor's lounge inside. Before Truman can react, security takes him away. When he gets home, Truman looks through the family photo album, trying to figure out what to look for. However, in the wedding photo, his wife's fingers are crossed, which in the West means that taking a false oath to get married is invalid. Confused, Truman approaches his wife to talk to her, but she slips away under the pretext of an urgent surgery. Truman sneaks off and follows her to the hospital, but suddenly there's an impromptu scene where the TV station rushes an actor to perform surgery on a patient, the kind that could even lead to death. Just as Truman is about to find out what's broken, the security guards come back to pull the curtains and drive him away. Truman doesn't understand why someone always gets in his way every time he tries to discover the truth. He can't stand the situation and decides to flee the city immediately to find the truth. However, the travel agent tells him that the plane is not scheduled until a month later. Truman goes back to the bus, but the engine breaks down just as the driver fires it up. He has no choice but to drive himself across the sea. Fearful of the sea, Truman called up his wife to set off with him. He closed his eyes and stepped on the gas, while his wife covered the steering wheel. The two rushed to the opposite side of the bridge. Suddenly, a fire breaks out on the road, but Truman doesn't believe it and continues to step on the gas. Then, an anti-epidemic war emerges in front of them, saying that there has been a nuclear leak, forcing Truman to take him back home. The initial escape ends in failure. The man begins to wonder if his wife really loves him. However, when the man questions it, his wife suddenly gets a weird look on her face and starts doing ad insertions. Truman freezes, because anyone with a clear eye can see that something is wrong. Truman is furious and believes that his wife has been deceiving him all along and has multiple identities. The wife is strangled and screams at the camera for help. As a result, the next second, Truman's buddy just happens to come to the door. The other guy takes Truman for a heart-to-heart talk and dissolves his suspicion step by step under the director's instructions. He also said that he had found Truman's father, who had passed away many years ago, and father and son met again and hugged each other tightly. Watching this touching scene, viewers in front of the TV couldn't help but burst into tears. It was expected that Truman would stay in town like that, but on this night, they noticed that Truman, who was asleep on the monitor, was not moving at all. Dude goes over to check it out, and sure enough, it was just a dummy. The TV station searched all the surveillance and couldn't find Truman. The director immediately puts all the actors on the street to look for him. It was too dark to see, so the director temporarily let the sun rise again. Finally, they found Truman on the sea. He overcame his fear of the sea and drove his boat out of town to find his long-lost girlfriend. Looking at the photos cobbled together from modeling magazines, his girlfriend, who has been watching in front of the TV, can't help but weep. At that moment, a storm breaks out and tries to stop Truman. But even if he is blown off the boat and submerged under the sea, Truman is unwilling to give up. He shouts that no one can stop him unless he dies. The director is defeated by his determination and stops the storm. When a ray of sunlight shines on Truman from the clouds, he breathes a sigh of relief and raises the sails again to continue sailing. Suddenly, the boat crashes into the studio, and Truman finally realizes that the town he has lived in for 30 years is actually all a fake. He slaps the wall helplessly, tears of joy and devastation mixed in. He then makes his way to the exit, at which point the director speaks. He pleads with Truman not to leave, but Truman turns to look at the camera.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
The audience can't help but cry out for him at this scene. He's been lighter for 30 years and Truman has finally escaped.